Good morning, everybody. It is actually a late morning. It is Friday. It is Black Friday. I'm recording this and I got up really late today. I normally get up at around 5:45, 6 o'clock, something like that. And I got up today at 7 o'clock. And not having noticed it was super cold outside. And I've been in a rush. All week has been, actually the last week and a half have been very, very, very busy. I've been putting lots of stuff up on eBay, out of my knitty stuff and crochet and shawls and the odd wearable, the odd clothes, secondhand clothes, or clothes that I haven't worn. Or that I've been kicking around. Yeah, let me take a breath. I've lost my thought now. I had this all planned out, I promise. Yes, it's going to be a short one today. I just wanted to catch up so that you had something. I have still my works in progress, my whips. That I'm sort of a bit stuck on, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I needed to do something else in between because I was going a bit silly on just doing the same old thing round and round and round. So I finished 2 small projects in between, just to get a little bit of a change. I hope I didn't say too much and ums and things like that. Well, let's carry on from here. In case you are new to this channel, thank you for coming and looking into my little corner in the internet. I am Maya and I am in the UK. And very welcome for those that are revisiting. I am so happy you are revisiting. Thank you very much. So first, my finished objects. The first finished object is a beret. I've already put up the pattern, if you like, onto my Ravelry, but not in patterns. I've just written it up under the projects because I was going to do the crochet tutorial to it. So this is the beret. See, I wanted matching set to my jumper. I've worn it this morning. So this is the beret. And oops, there's a bit of fluff. And this has a knit rib. I like the knit rib. And I will be making another. But I think I might try to do the knit rib even a bit taller or double so that I can double it up. Because if it's very windy, the air tends to get in through here. With my hair, I don't tend to put my hair into the hat like that because then it just weighs everything down and pulls the beret in funny shapes. So this is my beret, and just so that you see, that looks more like a pumpkin right now. So you can wear it like that. You see what I mean? I normally have my hair here in the front. My ears finish here, as you can see. And the wind tends to get in here, so I think I might elongate this. You can also wear it to the back. Men like wearing their berets to the back. So there's many ways of wearing it. Can wear it like this, I suppose, but that looks like a spaceship or like a mushroom. I don't know. I tend to wear mine like this. It keeps it all nice warm. So that's the beret. I'm also playing with the idea of making this maybe a bit larger. So the rim basically a bit larger. So the next one I'll be doing, I'll most probably do that. I have it in different weights on Ravelry. I have 3 photos there. One I gave away. That one I can't show you. That was the first option. There are 3 options of this on there. The second one is the lamb's wool one. Oh, I didn't bring it. Hang on a minute. I'm sorry for that. Here we go. This I made for my husband. This is lamb's wool that I spun with the Navajo spindle, so the floor spindle. That's why it's quite clumpy here. I only spun it once, so it's single ply. And of course, and then lower down the spinning, I did a super high twist and thin. That I did on the spinning wheel, and it's got little bits of novelty spirals coming out. This has been washed and worn a lot, actually. And the yellow in between, I can't remember. I think I dyed some of the same lamb's wool. Yeah, I dyed some of the lamb's wool and put it within. So anyway, so this is, see, this is a larger brim. And this here, actually, even though it looks like it is knit, this is the front back post. And it's springy and stretchy because of the high spin of the lamb's wool. Because normally front and back post is not quite as stretchy as knit, but this is because of the high spin. It's very bouncy. So this is the lamb's wool one. So you see this isn't super thick, going down to relatively thin down here at the bottom. So these are different weights. So just to show you that you can do this in different weights and different sizes doesn't sound right, different brim sizes I'm talking about now. So but that I did a while ago, that lamb's wool hat. I have a picture of it in my finished projects, must be at least 3 years ago, with my husband wearing it, so you can see it there. And then I think my next finished object was, I wanted something under my coat, a cowl under my coat, but that isn't very bulky, but something that I could fold over if needed and or stand up a little bit higher when it gets very windy, just to cover this area basically. I love the wind and I feel really alive when it's windy, but I don't like it cold in my ears or neck. So I made this little gator cowl. It's just that's also on the project page. It's the same wool. I have about 3/4 of a ball of yarn left, making these two. So I think what I'll do is I'll complete the set with some fingerless mitts. Yeah, I'll do that. I think I'll do that, but not right now. I want to get on with the other projects, and I have to put a little focus and effort into those. So this is a cowl. You can see I made it. Normally for a man I'd make it 7.5 inches. This is, I think, 6. I didn't really, wait, let me measure. I've got a measuring tape here. Let me see how long what's the width of this? No, this is actually 5.5. 5.5. And this is plenty for me, as you can see, because my coat stops here. Well, here actually. So it just goes in nicely without being too bulky. And then what I can do is I can tuck this in if I want it under my chin, and then it's double warm like that. Or if it gets really windy, it pulls up right under my ears like that. So I had it on this morning because we had frost and it was lovely. Actually, I had to tuck it under because it got a bit warm. So that's my gator cowl. Super easy. As I said, you can do this in various weights as well. This is not reliant on a specific weight of yarn. if you want to know how many stitches I used for this and the size of needle and what yarn I used, that's also in my Ravelry page, Ravelry Maya Lamb, in case you don't know. So look for Maya Lamb. And then the other whips. Well, I've done these on my leggings. Don't look like any, do they? I've done about 5 rows on this. So but I'm not wanting to finish this year, so it's not on the urgency list. So those are the leggings, and you've seen this whip as well. You've seen them all, but hey, that's how it goes. This is, oopsie, let's turn it the right way around. This is the ZZZ Jumper. I've decided to do it raglan with hole increases. You can see now in the front, even though it's not color true on the camera because of my lighting mainly, why it's called ZZ, because of the zigzags on the front. And I have zigzag on the sleeve as well. Well, sleeves, both sleeves, not just one sleeve, obviously. Right, I tried this on and I decided I want it to be a little bit deeper before I put the arms in. So normally I would have stopped at pattern row 10, but I wanted to stop now at pattern row 17. And I think I am on 15 right now. So this is still work in progress, but once I get going again, I haven't been knitting for about 4 days. I just haven't got around to doing any knitting whatsoever. These 2 objects, they were finished. They've been finished for 5 days now. So I haven't been knitting at all. So that's that. And then I hope my husband's not watching this YouTube video. Sorry, I'm stretching over to get it, because this is going to be his jumper. And remember, I showed you in the last episode, call it episode, the last YouTube, is the inspiration from the book, the Rowan book. And I've got this inside out, so I'm trying to pull it to the right side. That I was doing the jumper. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I forgot, it was Skaven. Skaven it was called, or Skaven, or something like that, as it's Swedish. I wouldn't know exactly how to pronounce it, but I think it's either Skaven or something like that. Anyway, here it is. I don't know if it shows up properly, and we've got... And if there's a stripe that looks a bit cream colored or yellow, that's because it's cream with glitter. Then I have a white and then the glitzy blues, and then going into straight blue. Now I am not sure. I will show you something. I have to pause for a second. I forgot to bring that as well. Now here's the reason why I'm making this. My husband is 2XL, so you need a lot of yarn. But this was the very first jumper I knit him. Yes, the very first. And he's worn it so much, and it's nearly falling apart. I'll show you this. Look how the collar is almost non-existent. It's like a boat neck now. So this was the first one I made him. And look how worn out it is at the bottom. He lives in this. When he's at home, he's in Spain right now. When he's at home, he lives in this. I think it hardly ever comes off to be, well, it does get washed, but this has been through the wars. So he needs another one. I have made him actually a an Artemisia sweater as well with shaping, but that's too warm for him. That's from homespun tweed I made in a brown and a mustard color. That actually might be also in my Ravelry pictures, project pictures, if you're interested. So that one, and there was one more. Well, anyway, as he loves that one, it's not too warm for him, and it needs to be washed a lot, and just as he likes living in it. I'm thinking, well, let's use the same acrylic weight yarn and make him this one. So now I have the problem. This is my problem. It's because I'm not that experienced in knitting men's sweaters with sizes, and he's not here to measure. So I've measured basically here, the increases from here down to here. That's where I'm at with the new one. Now, I'm not sure whether that is enough just to take the arms off, to section them off. Oh, hang on a minute, I've got to, sorry, excuse me. I've got yarn up my nose and it's tickling. So I think maybe not. So I'll go maybe another set of 8 rows beyond that. And then I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for the best, because that one's not exactly tight. So there is some leeway. So I hope that will be all right. And then, so I'll be separating those off this weekend. And you see, I've got this much of the blue left, and then I'm going into darker blues, and then into greens, and then into yellows. So those are my works in progress. Still works in progress. It might take a little while because I've not been knitting, as I said, for 4 days now. Weekend is normally my knitting time. But to make this video a little bit more interesting, because that was really boring, because you've virtually nothing new here, I will put 2 tiny clips on after this. One is of which I made a little tip, as in how to exchange the cables of your interchangeable needle set whilst you've got knitting on it. What often happens to me is that I don't need to change the needle size. That is easy, just screw the needles off on either side. That's easy enough. But the cable size, once I've noticed, I should have taken, instead of the 1.50 m, I should have taken the 2 m cable so that I can try on. And that's what happened with this one, because I thought I can't be bothered to slip all of this onto waste yarn and then try it on and slip it all back on again onto the needles again. So I changed the cables from a 1.50 to a 2 m. This way I can easily try it on without losing any of my stitches. So that's going on after this. And then I did on this cowl, I did a little tip on when you join in the round, when on your first or second row, it doesn't matter if you do it on the first or second row. I did it actually on the second row. What happens is you get like a big length of yarn just in between where you're joining, and how to fix that. Very easy fix. I'm putting that on as well. I hope that will help you. And I'm also crossing my fingers that next week I'll have a bit more time to do an update and be more advanced in my projects and have maybe something new. I don't know. So until next time. I won't say next week, I'm hoping it is going to be, but if not, until next time, I haven't forgotten you. Thank you for joining me. See you soon. Bye. Hello, I just want to throw this little tip in. I am going to be exchanging the cables on my interchangeable set from smaller length to a larger length. Now, I think I've come up with a solution how to do this. For that, I need a cable connector and my knitting is already on, so these are my interchangeables. So now, and connector, and hang on, that's the sewing needle, and the little key. So I'm going to undo the needle, screw the needle off here, off the cable I don't want, screw the connector cable onto it, get the new length that I want, screw the one, oopsie, first unravel it. That would be a good idea. There we go. Screw then on the other side of the connector, so this is the old, this is the new, screw the other side to the connector. So I don't really want to have connectors in my knitting. In past experience, even though they're smooth, it depends on the weight of yarn you've got. It can still rub a little bit. Tighten that up. There you go. And now onto the other end. Screw my needle back on. So this is the other end of the new one I want. Fasten that as well. There you go. Now take a deep breath. Take the other end of your knitting and pull it all the way through. All the way through. Pulling, 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 pulling. You know why I do this? Why I like longer cables? Because I can try on my work without having to take all the stitches onto scrap yarn. And there it comes. There's the connector cable. Right, just pull a little bit more. Just to make sure you've got a secure length so your knitting doesn't come off. Unscrew the come on. Unscrew the connector cable. Good chance. I've screwed it too tight. Hang on. It's slipping. It's slipping. Got it now. There we go. I had slippery hands. Here we go. So unscrew the unwanted cable plus connector. There we go. Take the needle off the other end of the unwanted cable with connector. So now I have the old cable with the connector still together. Put that aside. Screw the needle back onto the cable that I do want. Oh, looks like this one's a bit difficult. There you go. That's another way of doing it. With a bit of leverage. There. Make sure it's tight. There you go. So now I have my new length to knit with. And I'll pull the rest through. And I must say I am actually quite brutal with my cables, and if they're good quality cables they shouldn't kink. I have not had any of the Knit Picks variety kink. The ones that do that are a bit less sturdy are the Addy ones. So the Addy cables, are a bit more complicated. You've got to be a bit more gentle with those. There you go. So now I have my new length, super long, with my knitting on here. The old ones, I can take the connector now off in the same method, put the connector away, and I've got my new length of cable on my knitting. I hope that was helpful. That was just a little tip in between. That's how I do it. So you can exchange from long lengths to small lengths. As long as they're interchangeable, it'll work. Oh, another tip. I don't know if you know that, but all cables from Knit Picks fit all interchangeables from Knit Picks. So so it doesn't matter whether you've got Novas or Trends or Carbons or Symphonies or Zings. As long as they're all interchangeable, the cables will fit all. And that's fantastic for me because I don't like having a million different cables. I just want to have, I have about, on the smaller ones I might have 4 of each. So the 40, 60 and 80 centimeters, I think I have 4 of each. But of the larger ones, I have only 2, and that's sufficient. I mean, I can use the connector cable, connectors and connect the cables together to make something larger, which I did with the Fair Isle when I had the Fair Isle on. However, I found that because of the weight of the yarn, that it was a bit more difficult. So anything that's maybe a worsted or above, it's fine, but fingering or lace even, that doesn't work. So that is why I've chosen to do it that way. So there you go. Knittings on a larger size, a longer cable. This one is 2 meters, so I've definitely got enough space to try it on for the arms and so on without having to take everything onto a scrap yarn and then put everything back on or losing stitches. Another secret is I do have stitch stoppers, needle stoppers. What are they called? You know what I mean. But I tend not to don't use them a lot unless I just have my knitting line to the side. What I do is I use cork. So wine corks I cut in quarters or in halves, and I use these because when you're trying on, these are a lot more secure than the plastic ones. They tend to fall off, and corks are A, natural, B, they're reused, and C, they hold a lot better, no matter what size needle you have. Even though I've now got a hole from a 4.5 millimeter, if I stick a 1 millimeter in there, it will hold. It will not come out. So that was a little tip. Hope that helped you. Bye. I just wanted to give you a tip here. I've just cast on to make myself a cowl here, and you know this pesky problem when you've done the first row and you've joined and then you've got this? Well, I have a little solution for that. So what I do is, I hope you can see this well, so on the first stitch, this is my first stitch here, I lay this over the needle. Okay, so I've laid, hope you can see that, I've laid this over the stitch. I'll turn it around so you can see. Now I take my first stitch and I pass that over. Okay, and that is how I have fixed this gap. There will still be a little gap there, but that will vanish as soon as you've done a few rows. So now I can carry on knitting, and in my case it's knit 2, purl 2, rib, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, right, and let's have a look. It is virtually gone, both sides. It's a bit awkward because I've only got the camera of the laptop here. So you see it's virtually gone. That join is, this is my end tail. That join is almost as together as you can get it. So that was another little tip.